early summer of 2013, I leave Chicago's busy suburbs behind and embark on a week-long motorcycle trip in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The family cabin in Watersmeet, Michigan will be home base as I explore the UP on the back of a 2009 KLR650. I purchased the legendary machine over the winter and spent some months preparing both the bike and myself for the adventure. Though I am a skilled street rider, I have no experience on unpaved surfaces. Inspired by and a true fan of motorcycle travel videos, I decide to take along an action video camera to record my experience. This film is submitted into the communal, informative, and inspirational digital record. In particular, I hope this film bolsters the sparse collection of open sources covering the topics of dual sport motorcycling in the Midwestern United States. Hit the throttle, move down the road, tuck in and lighten the load. Tomorrow brings one less day, into the wind and on your way. Life's too busy now and then, gonna see what's around that bend. Take a path that's hard to find, leave that pavement far behind. Hit the throttle, move down the road, tuck in and lighten the load. Tomorrow brings one less day, into the wind and on your way. Friday, June 28th. I finally captured my first usable footage 60 miles into the first day of riding. The planned route traverses Interstate 94 through Lake County, Illinois, and across southern Wisconsin until Milwaukee. But a warning of long travel delays over this section of highway from a family member sends me running for the Route 173 exit ramp at the first sight of orange construction barrels. Now this is better than the bumper-to-bumper stop-and-go stuff I would have encountered on Interstate 94. Taking Route 45 north to the west side of Milwaukee will take a little longer, but the scenery is much more pleasant. Continuing north on Route 45, I cross the Illinois-Wisconsin border. The barns are never fully dressed without a smile as I pass George Lake. Lunch hour traffic thickens, and so does the cloud cover as Route 45 joins Interstate 894 southwest of Milwaukee. I rejoin the original green route and merge onto 894, bypassing the heavier traffic downtown. The GPS says to stay on Route 45 to Fond du Lac, and the road signs confirm. I stop at Cabela's, where routes 41 and 45 split, to buy a Wisconsin ATV pass. I'm there for some time as there is a long line at the customer service desk and only one staff. When I finally pull the KLR back onto the highway, the clouds are noticeably thicker and the sky darker. The dark bands to the east and west will surely drench me, but the bright sky directly north could be my escape. I notice the cadence of worry and hope marching through my brain is now 100% on the ride, instead of work and home. I am officially on vacation. The planned route traverses Route 41 to the west of Lake Winnebago between Fond du Lac and Appleton. but have made good progress so far, and there is time enough to take a more scenic and rural path to the east of Lake Winnebago. I exit Route 41 at the Route 151 exit ramp in the rain and pull over to batten down the hatches. But, distracted by worry over the strengthening drizzle, I make a wrong turn and end up fighting my way through the center of Fond du Lac. Rejoining Route 151, the rain remains a slow drizzle. Brighter skies lay ahead as the camera captures dark clouds lurking at the rear flanks and both side view mirrors. The rain has stopped. As the sun and wind dry my clothes, my thoughts are free to fall over the quaint Midwestern landscape. There's been lots of rain this year, and every kind of vegetation is thriving. The strong greens burrow into me and begin dissolving the crusty residue deposited by my busy urban existence. Soon that outer shell will be completely eroded away, and its inner contents laid bare into the wind, free to be resorted by the elements. More quaint Midwestern scenery on the east side of Lake Winnebago. Moving north on Route 151, the scenery becomes ideal to the point of seeming surreal. I'm thankful for the brightening skies and that though the traffic is heavy for a rural road, it's all heading south and the northbound lane belongs almost entirely to the KLR. Breaking away from the main route, I find an even more secluded path closer to Lake Winnebago on Lakeshore Drive. Lakeshore Drive offers a lesson in the proper meaning of the phrase, beautiful rural countryside. The sparse countryside changes back to thick suburban sprawl north of Lake Winnebago. It's late afternoon, and the warmer air temperatures are unwelcome as I negotiate heavy stop-and-go traffic on the roads skirting the perimeter of Appleton. My track rejoins the original route as the KLR accelerates down the Route 47 exit ramp. Route 47 offers a brief sun shower as welcome. I don't like those dark clouds on the northern horizon, but the open country landscape freshens my spirit after Appleton's confining thoroughfares. This wide sweeping bend in Route 47 heading north pulls the KLR in direct line of rain clouds lurking on the northern horizon. The form and color of the cloud cover ahead have me so mesmerized I barely give thought that my path may take me directly into wet weather. More rain, as expected. It won't be too bad if it stays like this. This is a real rain. I tell myself to surrender to it, accept it. After all, I wanted an adventure. I'm soaked. The traffic heading north on Route 47 has increased dramatically, and the rain has not slowed the pace any. Most drivers seem aggressively impatient, as if they can't wait to get to the cabin up north for the weekend. I could keep pace if I throttle up the KLR to 15 over the speed limit, but I'm not willing to do so on an unfamiliar road with poor visibility and on soaking wet pavement. With the camera turned off, I pull into a gas station and stow the camera. No more filming today. It takes just under an hour to follow the GPS directions to the Mountain Springs Motel, located at the intersections of Routes 32 and 64. A reserved room awaits, and the owner tells me that the Everbreeze Resort is a good place for a burger and fries. And she's right. Saturday, June 29th. It's been raining all morning with no signs of letting up. I get myself road ready inside the hotel room so I don't have to stand in the wet and cold while I pull on my gear. The high-vis vest makes me more visible in the rainy weather. I'm relieved to find the bike in place and unmolested, even if it is waterlogged. The trip truly begins today. The goal is to meet my wife, kids, and in-laws late this afternoon at the family cabin in Watersmeet, Michigan. It's only 7:30 a.m., so that leaves over 10 hours to make the 3.5-hour trip. I've set several waypoints in the planned route to force the GPS over some more interesting roads. In Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, I'll pick up the Watersmeet Land O'Lakes ORV trail system and travel off-road for the remainder of today's riding. The cool, wet morning air slams my body. All joy drains from my mind, and I become a bag of worry and meat clinging to the back of the KLR. Relax, I tell myself. Knees in against the tank. Firm but relaxed grip on the bars. Look through the turn. Press down on the inside grip. Weight the inside peg. Throttle off. Clutch in. Shift. Throttle on. Clutch out. Repeat. And repeat. The worry finally leaves me. Only the bag of meat remains, and I experience a state of total body absent of all thought. Eerily, the camera fails to record audio during filming of this scene. The rain has lifted. A lone thought returns to me as a single word: beautiful. And now I'm thinking of the forest. I need a safe place to pull off Route 32, hydrate, eat a snack, and check the weather report. Over there by that large lumberjack should do just fine. The KLR gives me about 250 miles per tank, so I am free to stretch the legs without the mandatory company of gasoline pumps. This is Wabeno, a small town flying banners claiming the title Dual Sport Capital of the World. The weather app on my smartphone does not recognize a search for Wabeno, and I'm left to guess at the weather. I've left Route 32 for Route 8, and now I head deeper into the Chequamegon-Nicolet forest on the secluded Route 139. Oops, distracted by the scenery, I miss my turn and have to backtrack. Back en route, I head for MacArthur Pine Road via Broadway Street. Here it is, gravel. My body goes stiff again. I have very little experience riding on gravel. In preparation for this trip, I several times rode down to the farmlands south of Joliet to ride a few short sections of gravel road there, but it's not been enough to make me comfortable. I once more will myself to focus on the fundamentals of riding. I could easily turn around and complete the trip entirely on blacktop, but if I do that, I may as well trade the KLR in for a Harley. But the thought of spending my weekends polishing chrome and cutting the sleeves off all my t-shirts is more than I can bear. Forward is my path. I realize a pure street bike could easily traverse this road. Nonetheless, I finally feel as if the KLR is earning its keep. You can fast forward if you want to. I'm just going to watch this a while. My cell phone struggles to capture a clear photo in the low light. I text this image to my wife and tell her all is well and I'm having a great time, though the presence of a cell signal is somewhat disappointing. forest seems to change character this side of the river. I wonder if it's older. This area was most likely harvested for timber at some point. In fact, this very road could have been an old lumber road before being turned over to the Forestry Service. The kickstand on the KLR is too long. I have to maneuver the bike perpendicular to the road to compensate for the crown in the gravel surface. Otherwise, it'll fall over. I inspect a possible bypass. I've never done anything like this before, though it may look a bit brutish to an expert off-roader. I make it without dropping the bike, and my soul is filled with joy. I stall the motor, letting the clutch out too fast under too little throttle. An embarrassing mistake, but the KLR faithfully starts again, and all is forgiven. I round North Twin Lake through Phelps on County Route E, heading for Lac Vieux Desert. I stop at the Gateway BP at the intersection of Route 45 and County Route B. I pick up a Michigan ORV sticker and an early lunch. The GPS is powered down. It won't be of any help from here on out, as the routing is incapable of traversing the ORV trails. I head into Land O'Lakes to find the Watersmeet Land O'Lakes trailhead. I'm told it's just behind the library. After missing the trailhead, I make a U-turn and finally pick up the trail. The trail is heavily used by snowmobiles and ATVs. Several local shops rent out such equipment, and the local clubs organize to maintain the trails. The surface varies wildly. This is not a gravel road, although some sections are coated with well-packed gravel. The trail is U-shaped as opposed to the center crown grading of the Forest Service roads I've ridden so far today. The U-shape collects water, but provides an on-camber berm at each side that I can use to double S around the puddles. The camera fails to record sound again.
The GPS is back in place as I started to doubt my direction and location. The trail requires careful attention as the surface changes quickly from hard-packed gravel to mud to undulating mounds of sandy gravel. Fortunately, I've not yet encountered proper sand. A local resident told me that this road has been washed out and is closed off. Sounds like a good place to practice some new skills. Looks okay to me. Maybe it's been repaired already. Ah, here it is. Looks like the water overflowed the gutter and ran down the road instead. The center looks solid, but it's actually a soupy redeposit of gravel and sand from up the road. That wasn't too bad, but wouldn't want to drive the minivan through it. From here, I reroute to the family cabin and spend the rest of the day unpacking and hanging out. Sunday, June 30th. The last 2 days of riding have been wonderful, but also taxing, as I've not ridden enough in the last couple of months. I finally decide to put the KLR back into the wind mid-afternoon with a plan to explore some of the ORV trails near the cabin listed on the Ottawa Forest ATV map. The riding is frustrating, and filming suffers. I fail to capture any usable footage. The scenes shown are unused cuts from later in the week, representative of today's events. I follow the GPS to the first trailhead loaded as a waypoint from the Ottawa ATV map. There should be a trailhead in this location. Off the bike, I inspect the trail. I'm concerned about the large berm at the trail entrance. The knee-high ferns tell me that this trail is infrequently traveled. I'm certain the KLR can handle this trail, but I'm far less sure of my own skills and decide to investigate other marked trails. On to the next trailhead. The map indicates a route connecting Marion Lake Road and National Forest Road 3960. Approximately half the distance is labeled as a road coming in from each end, with a trail connecting them in the middle. The road surface is coated in layers of slippery, wet, fallen leaves, which I cannot see due to the knee-high vegetation. I decide to push on and am impressed by the KLR. I move several fallen trees crossing the road and forge on about a mile. The ground softens further as the road changes to the ATV trail. I begin to fear becoming stuck and turn the KLR around, having made less than half the distance I had hoped. Circling around to National Forest Road 3960, where the route should have exited, I find a steel gate with a permanent road closed sign attached. On to the next trailhead. Turning off US Route 2 onto the trail, I find a 7-foot tall, 30-foot wide mound of rock, log, and dirt piled up, blocking the entire trail. I could possibly ride around and continue on, as technically this trail is not closed, as there is no sign posted specifically marking it as closed. But it is obvious that someone had the intention to close this path, and bypassing the barrier would mean going off trail, which is strictly prohibited. I head back to the cabin, deciding to explore the Rails to Trails converted ORV path for the remainder of the week instead of rolling the dice on the local trails marked on the Ottawa ATV map. Monday, July 1st. It's 3 in the afternoon and I'm getting on the KLR for the first time. The early hours of the day were filled with cabin chores and playing on the beach with the kids. The experts say that you can learn more skills riding the same section over and over. So I take a detour to the washed out road, this time going the other direction. I'll be going up the incline. I succeed in traversing the washed out section without stalling the engine. I ride back into Watersmeet to pick up the Route 45 trailhead to the State Line ORV Trail, which is a rails-to-trails conversion of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad line. Almost immediately, an experience engulfs me in 3 dimensions. The clear weather provides an open blue sky. The trail bed maintains an orangey-red hue. The surrounding foliage frames it all in a rich green. Those 3 basic colors are transformed to thousands of different tones, playing between the bright sunlight and the deep forest shadows. A bouquet of pine sap and sun-baked red clay is blasted through my helmet. I am baptized by the aromatic homily. My sins are confessed to the wind, and my soul made ready for the 650cc communion. I feel my faith directly, unbrokered by agent, and owing no commission. This bridge is a good opportunity to pull over and take in the serene Middle Branch Ontonagon River, just west of National Forest Road 4500. A series of closely spaced micro whoops is great fun on the back of the KLR. I have no problem tackling these in a seated riding position. The trail has changed to a hard-packed 2-track with a lovely grassy berm running down the center. It's a struggle to maintain a reasonable speed as I need to remain prepared for the surface changes at all times. I leave the ORV trail at Route 16, planning to turn on National Forest Road 3920 near James Lake. But having too much fun on the throttle, I missed the turn. 3920 is a shaded gravel road typical of those I've ridden so far. I'm finally able to relax on the gravel and enjoy a leisurely 25 to 35 mile per hour pace. I pick up US Route 2, heading back to the cabin. Hope I'm not too late for dinner. Tuesday, July 2nd. I do no riding or filming today. The family takes a car trip to Copper Harbor, leaving just after breakfast and not returning to Watersmeet until after dark. We visit several local attractions on Lake Fanniehouie and Lake Superior. Wednesday, July 3rd. The KLR is underway just after 7 a.m. The air temperatures are in the low 60s, which feels quite a bit colder on the back of a motorcycle at 60 miles per hour. There's no trail riding planned today. I'll take US Route 2 into Ironwood for a late breakfast. Then I'll backtrack a bit before heading north to the Porcupine Mountains State Park. I'll follow South Boundary Road along the park's southern border to the opposite side of the park and then ride along Lake Superior briefly before heading back to the cabin. I chase my shadow into the west on US Route 2. The scenery on US Route 2 is lit fantastically by the morning sun. Uh-oh, orange construction barrels. I've not seen this before. An escort car makes a U-turn and ushers the westbound traffic across the eastbound lane. I pass through Wakefield on US Route 2 near Sunday Lake. Bessemer is next. Finally, Ironwood. It's been a cold morning on the back of the KLR. I'll sit down to some breakfast before heading back west on US Route 2. I do like hot cakes and sausage, though I can't help but feeling it may have been better to spend some extra time and search out a local restaurant. But then again, this trip is about riding, not eating. Making a left on Route 28, my path to Porcupine Mountain State Park rounds Sunday Lake and Wakefield. I leave Route 28 and turn left on County Route 519, which runs all the way to the park entrance. The mid-morning sun has warmed the air pleasantly. The brown information sign points the way to the state park. Quicker traffic passes as I feel no need to push the KLR above the speed limit. County Route 519 becomes more secluded and forested to the north. A gentle dome of green Porcupine Mountain reveals itself on the northern horizon. I'm in the state park now. South Boundary Road is a motorcyclist's dream. There is little traffic and the pavement weaves its way through the trees in a seemingly endless chain of double S curves. I've discovered on this trip that a journey is truly complete when I become more curious about what is happening at home than I am about what's around the next bend. I pull over to program the GPS to route me back to the cabin. The GPS claims that I can turn around and cut over to Route 64 on none such road, saving over an hour of travel time. But I know Lake Superior lays only a few miles to the north. I labor over the choice, desiring both to shorten the return trip and to ride along the Great Lake. Finally, I decide to turn around to take the none such shortcut. The GPS is wrong. The none such road is closed to motor vehicle traffic as it is a protected historical site. I have been fooled once more, challenging myself to choose between two options, all the while there existed only one true choice, and the challenge being to have the courage to act upon the one and only option. But this fool will see Lake Superior today, and he is glad of it. The blue haze ahead is Lake Superior. I must take a closer look. I feel differently about Superior as compared to the other Great Lakes. I saw it for the first time a few years ago on a different motorcycle trip. At the first glimpse of the water through the gap in the trees, I nearly wept as if presented with some fundamental truth for the first time. The gentle green hump sloping into the water is the northernmost point of the Porcupine Mountain State Park. Legend has it that a set of stairs once populated this very location. The trees thicken, blocking the view of the lake. The GPS reports a 1-hour travel time to Watersmeet. I tuck in and throttle up for the cabin. Thursday, July 4th. 9 a.m. and the kids are already playing at the beach. I will do no riding today as holiday events fill up the family schedule. Friday, July 5th. Today is the last day of riding in the Upper Peninsula. Tomorrow, I make the grueling 390-mile ride home. I make the most of my fleeting hours by getting a 7 a.m. start heading south on US Route 45 and turning onto Old Military Road about 4 miles south of US Route 2. The gravel is more sandy than any I've encountered so far. I've never ridden in sand before, and I dread it immensely. There's been no rain for several days, and a proper section of sand will be dry and loose. I want no part of it. I'm curious about Old Military Road. Many road names in the UP are descriptively utilitarian, if not literal. I dip down into Wisconsin and find a path skirting the northwest banks of Lac Vieux Desert. I end up on a single-lane dirt 2-track as I cross back into Michigan. I keep the gear high and the throttle low, trying to make as little noise as possible. I'm not entirely sure that this is a public road, but it's tremendous and I must push forward, assuming a gate would block my way if public traffic were not allowed. Though I can't say this road is more beautiful than the other riding I've done this week, I must admit this stretch bears a special quality, and it is a privilege to have experienced it. I pull the KLR onto Misery Bay Road, and a chill travels my spine knowing the habit of literal place naming in this region. Indian Village Road is paved in strongly faceted materials, creating a dazzling quality in the morning sunlight. I turn the KLR around at the lovely shores of Lac Vieux Desert. The road is a joy to ride, and I look forward to traveling out the same way. A double S road sign is an exciting sight to the motorcyclist, but I must turn onto Forest Service roads, cutting back to US Route 2. National Forest Road 3940, south of US Route 2. This gorgeous two-track is National Forest Road 3920, running between US Route 2 and Old US Highway 2. I leave National Forest Road 3920, turning on to US Route 16 for a short while, and then on to the Iron County ORV Trail, picking up where I left off the other day. Though this trail may seem quite a bit like the other sections I've ridden, the experience remains fresh. It's been 2 hours on the back of the KLR. The air is warmer and the sun is brighter, so I stop at the first wide section of trail I encounter, as there have been a few fast-moving ATVs out this morning. I put on the sunglasses and open up the vents on my jacket. Mounting the bike, I feel terror climb all about me. Sand. I've stopped in a long, wide section of pure, dry, loose, deep sand. How stupid can I be? If there is anything worse than riding over sand, surely it must be starting out in sand. I know I should keep the throttle up and control the power to the back wheel with the clutch, but implementing my own instructions proves difficult. I fall. It's my first ever. The anticipation proves far exaggerated, as the deep dry sand is quite like falling into a pillow-top mattress. It probably doesn't hurt that my riding clothes are well padded. I complete the section of sand without further issue and am back on the trail. Embarrassed, I turn off the camera, reluctant to capture further evidence of my foolishness. I must fight that urge to protect my own ego in future filming. All the confidence I have built in the last week is lost, and I struggle to relax my body. The riding becomes unpleasant and labored. There is nothing to do but ride through it. The view on the right opens as the trail draws close to US Route 2. Perseverance pays off. I am once more in the zone, feeling confident in my ability to make the KLR traverse the uneven and loose surfaces. The joy returns and I finally pick up the bike from the sand. The signs indicate that Iron River lays 7 miles up the trail. The trail crosses Gibbs City Road. It's nearly 10 a.m. and I start to wonder if I can make Iron River in time to order breakfast at my favorite restaurant. The trail changes to sand again, though a bit more rocky than the previous section. It causes the KLR to list sickeningly. I should scoot my weight back on the seat and add more throttle in a high gear, but it's necessary to achieve a full stop in order to unlock my body from panic. And quickly the trail becomes solid again. The first ATV of many miles appears. My mind flashes back to the fall, only this time dozens of members of the local ATV club are pulled over to the side watching me. What a great fool I must be to waste thought on such things. Shortly, I exit the ORV trail onto the surface streets of Iron River. Breakfast is still being served, and then US Route 2 takes me back west to Watersmeet. Saturday, July 6th. The sun has already risen, and by the time I walk out to the bike at 5:30 a.m., the sky is quite bright. The KLR moves one last time over US Route 2 towards US Route 45. I plan to make the 390-mile journey home all in one day. With stops for food, gas, and leg stretches, it should take about 10 hours. I pass through Antigo, Wisconsin. This is Burnham Wood, Wisconsin. Though this road carries little traffic at the moment, and the scenery of central Wisconsin is yet still beautiful, it is ill reminder of what lays in wait to the south as the KLR touches its first true divided expressway in over a week. Back to surface roads for yet a while. Clintonville, Wisconsin. It's back to the farmlands of central Wisconsin. The northern forests are well at my back now. After joining US Route 41 on the west side of Lake Winnebago, I ride over Lake View des Morts. Despite the company of highway barriers and shopping centers, I enjoy the ride. The KLR processes the concrete and spits it out at the back end. What a marvelous machine, master of interstate expressways and remote dirt two-track both. Well south of Fond du Lac on US Route 41, I pull off for one of many leg stretches. The GPS says to follow the 894 bypass around Milwaukee. The last fill up was in Eagle River, 240 miles and 6 hours ago. Should be close to reserve level by now. The scenery turns pleasant and blessedly free of traffic for a few moments nearing Racine County on I-94. Here's that bad I-94 traffic I was warned about. Traffic runs slow for about 12 miles on I-94 southbound, west of the Kenosha Regional Airport. The appearance of the unmistakable Mars Cheese Castle sign indicates that the Illinois border lies a few miles ahead. There is little fanfare at the state boundary. Only a small green and white road sign indicate the change, and the mile markers reset to 00. Interstate 294 will take me the rest of the way to the southwestern suburbs of Chicago, where my trip ends.